about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Hey, let's go to New York City where Mamdani is speaking right now, the mayor of New York City. Been kind of quiet over the weekend after what happened there, the terrorist attack in New York City. Let's get you the latest from New York right now before we jump into our big three. Here we go.
I'm deeply grateful to both of them and to every member of the NYPD who works every single day to keep New Yorkers safe. As the NYPD continued their investigation yesterday, they found a third suspicious device in a vehicle on East End between 81st and 82nd Street. Out of an abundance of caution, they conducted a number of limited evacuations of nearby buildings before removing it from the area. Once the device was removed, those evacuated were allowed to return to their homes. I am grateful for their continued work to keep New Yorkers safe. Let me say this plainly. Anyone who comes to New York City to bring violence to our streets will be held accountable in accordance with the law. As this case continues to develop, I will remain in close contact and communication with our police commissioner. I want to say thank you once again to everyone who acted on Saturday to protect their fellow New Yorkers and to uphold the values of this city. Now, I would like to invite Police Commissioner Tisch to say a few words.
I don't think we need to hear from the community. Part of this is, and we'll get into this coming up here in the big three, but part of this is driven by this just silence over the weekend and the Post compelling him, I believe in their headline on the paper this morning, New York Post, that is, to come out and condemn these IED terrorist attacks over the weekend. You might be saying, I'm just turning, what are you talking about? Well, let's get into all that and more. Come on.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
By the way, we'll have highlights or clips from that statement just moments ago, anything else that may happen in and around it coming up this morning on the program. But let's get into the stories that matter most. You'll be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. Powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Bowie and the team wanting to make you, available for all of the savings, whether it's you want to buy a home, you want to refinance, home equity line of credit. We've done all three. And we save thousands every time. So many other folks that listen to this program have done the same thing. Reach out today and you'll find out how at hhmlending.com.
Number one.
As you just heard Mamdani speaking, the mayor of New York City there live from outside of Gracie Mansion. Matter of fact, that's where one of the attacks took place. Homemade bombs at competing rallies over the weekend in New York City. And by the way, this is not the only suspected terror activity over the weekend. This is just one of those pictures and pieces of the puzzle. 6 arrested now in what appears to be, like I said, terrorist activity over the weekend. There at Gracie Mansion, 2 homemade explosive devices were ignited, thrown during violent clashes between a small anti-Muslim protest, folks on the right, organized by conservative influencer Jake Lang. He's got some history here in Michigan, in fact. This thing, Stop the Islamification of New York City is what it was called. By the way, not a good look. If you're the folks on the other side of this, and you say that Jake Lang guy is a wacko, it's probably not a good like to bomb him. I'm just gonna say. I don't know. Of course, he was there with elements like a cooked pig and some other things that they are calling provocative. Do we want to turn this thing into full-fledged barbecue? Probably not a good idea for the optics. Just putting that out there. A much larger counter-protest of about 125 people mobilized by General Strike New York City to run the Nazis out of New York City, quote-unquote. The devices, glass jars wrapped in electrical tape containing bolts, screws, nuts, and hobby fuses. Now, who was caught? We'll get into that and more of this.
Number 2.
Some of the other issues that happened over the weekend you'll want to be abreast of as well. Trump says he won't sign any bills into law until that Save America Act is passed, a Republican-backed measure requiring proof of citizenship and photo ID for voter registration, severely restricting mail-in ballots except in limited cases like military, illness, disability. By the way, these are common sense. Travel amongst them. Addressing other issues like barring men from women's sports and prohibiting transgender procedures for children. He emphasized that it must take priority over everything else, rejecting any watered-down versions that other lawmakers may try to throw in there as a monkey wrench as well. And last but not least, over the weekend, Iran picking a new supreme leader, President Trump, not happy with the selection. You know, obviously, he said he wants to be part of this decision as the country moves forward. It's business as usual there. Iran's Assembly of Experts. Is that really the name for it? The Assembly of Experts picking the son, 56-year-old son of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and the country's new supreme leader, making him only the third person to hold the position since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Decision coming just over a week after his father was assassinated in joint U.S.-Israeli strikes, ignited a broader regional war. You're seeing that take place now. By the way, we have some updates on what's happening in Iran as well, and fully the Middle East as Iran still continues to sort of, they said they weren't going to, but we're seeing more of that continue to happen. Strikes on other assets, believe drones taken out as well, and believe that are helping the United States. So more on that coming up in details we want to make sure we get to. But also today, another big conversation. You heard her Friday, I'm sure. If you missed her, you get a chance to actually hear from her today. Weather legend, West Michigan weather legend, Terry DeBoer is joining us coming up at 9:30. Good friend, and I can't imagine anybody in their right mind would want to get into politics right now. In fact, I told her that over the weekend. I said, "Yeah, I think you're crazy." But you know, it's a fine line between crazy and called, folks, and you know that's what I hear Terry saying is that this is something that she feels called to do. We're going to talk about that with her and why she's running for Congress in Michigan's 3rd Congressional District. Coming up in just moments, it'll be about 9:35.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
All right, let's break down some of the other pieces of what happened in New York City. As I mentioned, there's going to be more probably clips that we can play, highlights coming up momentarily for what happened over the weekend. But here's what you got. You've got these two separate kind of IED sort of homemade bombs, two competing scenarios in New York City. And like I said, unfortunately, it took the mayor forever to come out and condemn this whole thing and talk about it. And yet finally he did this morning. There, like I said, 6 people altogether arrested. Here's just one of them. In fact, I think pretty young. Some of these were kids. One of them, I think, in high school. 19-year-old. Let's got an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old. These things, thank God, failed. Because if they would have fully detonated, it would have been devastating. No injuries, no detonation. It failed to actually explode. What it did do is produce a little smoke. Struck a barrier, and then finally extinguished. The second dropped while fleeing. As I mentioned, 6 now hooked up, including the 2 teens linked to the devices. NYPD officers tackling the suspects ran toward the danger there. The bomb squad later confirmed they were improvised explosive devices, IEDs. One of them called the Mother of Satan. That's what the nickname is for this type of device with the particular type of explosive that was used inside of it. And we did get a statement from the commissioner, and she spoke. In fact, I think she's speaking now. The mayor and his wife safe inside the residence. And again, a Muslim himself, which is kind of odd here that that this type of thing would go down, and then furthermore, that he would wait so long to release any sort of actual statement and speak on the matter. So but that wasn't the only thing that happened over the weekend. So you got two of those. You got the dueling scenarios. Police also found more explosives in vehicles near the mayor's residence over the weekend as well. We see the some of this sort of ratcheting up in what's taking place, and look, I mean, this to be expected. I don't know. We're told all this is peaceful. There's a peaceful. This is probably a peaceful bombing, mostly peaceful bombing.
Here on East End Avenue, right near East 79th Street, and just behind me between 81st and 82nd Streets are where the NYPD located a suspicious device and safely removed it. I'm going to step out of the way and give you guys a better view. That device was found inside a vehicle believed to belong to two suspects now in federal custody. So to recap, a total of 3 devices have been recovered in this neighborhood since yesterday afternoon.
They went into Pennsylvania, I think the Philadelphia area, where one of these young men had family. Bucks County. FBI agents there searching the homes of the 19 and 18-year-old in connection to the IED. Here's the CBS report. I think it's CBS on this.
Federal response unfolded tonight in 2 neighborhoods across Bucks County as the FBI launches a terrorism investigation into 2 men accused of throwing explosive devices at a counter-protest in New York City. The terrorism investigation now underway in Bucks County. Federal agents descended on the homes of 2 young men earlier tonight, taking several...
What do you think? Just going to throw this out there. Question. What do you think they shouted when they threw the devices? Any guesses on this? Any guesses? CNN, actually.
Well, sources telling CNN that both men that were arrested following these protests in relation to those 2 explosive devices admitted to having been inspired by ISIS. Now, I also want to add that last night when the police commissioner briefed the media on this incident, she did say that the investigation was still underway, and she emphasized that so far there appear to be no nexus to the situation unfolding in Iran. So I just want to mention those 2 things right off the bat, because we are learning that while these 2 men said that they were inspired by...
I'm sure it's just a coincidence. There's probably no connection whatsoever. Here's how the media, by the way, the mainstream folks covered the whole thing. Improvised explosive found at protest near Manhattan's Gracie Mansion, Mamdani's official residence, NYPD says. Of course, that comes from, I think that's a CBS headline. Daily Mail, bomb, 6 arrested after homemade nail bombs launched at home of New York City mayor. CNN, device hurled, these are headlines. Near New York City mayor's mansion was an IED that could have caused serious injury. Mayor Mamdani was home when protesters lit device outside. If you just sort of reading these or hearing them, there's no context at all. You don't know how, and you're probably left to assume anyway that it's probably some sort of, right winger that was, responsible for this. Probably some far right. That's what you're probably led to believe. One of those kids was a high school student. One of those kids involved in this was a student in high school. The mayor's hollow. So I told you he didn't really, it was kind of quiet over the weekend. Well, they want to say that because here's what he actually put. This was on a statement released, I believe, on X. Yesterday, white supremacists. So the IEDs are the result because of the white supremacists. That's what he leads with. White supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. What do you mean? It wasn't peaceful or mostly peaceful? Such hate has no place in New York City. It's an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. You know what is an affront to the New York City values? Is IEDs, explosive devices, by kids who are radicalized and inspired by ISIS shouting Allah Akbar, etc., and trying to kill people. That's what an affront is to New York City and to the United States. So he leads with, it's because of Jake Lang. Again, folks, I recognize this as victim shaming. I don't know about you, but he leads with that. And then he goes into what followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, but he doesn't really talk about the Muslim Islamist extremist and what exactly was taking place, why this happened, and the full details of it. But would you expect anything less? Well, these are just pieces of the puzzle that the context, I believe, matters, and there's reason for it. That way you know exactly what's going on. You have a better picture, and you can make better decisions for you and your family. But some folks don't want you to know, and that really drives me to ask and wonder why. By the way, this wasn't the only thing that happened over the weekend that has folks scratching their heads. Did you see what happened on that Southwest flight? The airport shut down in Kansas City. We got more of it. We'll talk about that. Give you the details as we continue. We're back after this. West Michigan Live on Wood Radio. Well, Mike and the team want to make sure that you are well taken care of, no matter what's going down, no matter what happens in the stock market, and when it reels, and like it's doing and will, the back and forth. It's a roller coaster ride. You don't have to feel it, though. You don't have to feel the shaking. You don't have to feel the ups and the downs. You don't have to feel nauseous. Whether you want to retire today, tomorrow, 10, 20 years down the road, no matter when that is. Well, Mike Lester and the team at Guarding Your Nest Egg want to make sure you feel like you can sleep at night. And none of the tossing and turning, the shaking, and all of the rest of it. That's because they take a holistic approach. So in times like these, it just, you don't feel the shaking that other folks do. Find out more when you go to See Talent Wealth and find out what Mike, the whole team is up to at guardingyournestegg.com. That's guardingyournestegg.com. Mike and the team ready to help you today. We're down again a little bit in the futures. We'll see what the market looks like as we open coming up in the near future here, just moments away. 473 on the futures right now. Dow futures down, the NASDAQ down a couple hundred points as well. But the updates on open coming up right here. Don't go anywhere.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, March 9th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Some state lawmakers are listening to you as folks here in Michigan flood community meetings across the state expressing concerns over huge data center development. A bipartisan group of lawmakers are getting involved by putting moratoriums on these projects. The Whitmer administration has some explaining to do. Overpayments from a state program for people living on Social Security who need help buying food jumped by close to 2,000%. The Whitmer administration won't explain why. And cleanup efforts underway in Three Rivers, Michigan after an unusual EF3 tornado.
I grabbed the dog and ran into the closets and held on to the doorknob. Everything was shaking and it sounded like a train was driving through the house.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
When your team clocks out for the night, protection shouldn't. For 70 years, EPS Security has secured Michigan businesses. We detect, verify, and respond because every business is something worth guarding. Your livelihood. With intrusion detection, fire protection, video surveillance, and access control, EPS Security is always on the job, even when you're not, because your business is worth protecting. EPS Security, trusted by Michigan.
All right, good morning, folks. Got to make this quick if I can, but I'll say good morning. A few folks over here on the Locals VIP, Mando. Mark, good to see you. Karen, good to see you too. Haley, Gritter, Panda, good to see you too. Thank you, folks, for being here with us. Salo, Sue, always a pleasure. Sharon, thank you so much. On the Rumble, yes, Rumble is up and running. It was a little bit of a glitch, but some folks found it this morning. Mando's there, 1769. Gary, Jen, Lynn, thank you guys for being here with us. Julianne, BKWV, appreciate you too. Thank you, thank you. Over on the book, got the bookers loud and clear this morning. Sherry, good to see you. By the way, did I see you got a new job? Congratulations. Paula, Tammy, Bunny, Bruce, thank you so much for being here with us today, guys. Brian, Sean, Bunny. Yeah, is Jason around this morning too? Where is Jason? We're full speed ahead. Thank you for clicking share this morning and helping us get the word out. You help us break the algorithm. Much needed. Much needed. Particularly with the way things work around here over on the old. All right, stand by. Here we go. Back on the air.
Baseball season.
At the wall! Oh, my goodness!
You're one tap away. Open the iHeart app and stream your local sports stations. Catch the latest news on Fox Sports Radio or dive into the world's biggest sports podcasts. Open the free app, search sports, and listen now.
Coming up, we normally talk weather, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about those deadly storms over the weekend with Terry DeBoer, but she's got us focused on changing the forecast in the swamp. We'll talk with her about her latest announcement, running for Congress here in Michigan's 3rd Congressional District, taking on Democrat Hillary Scholten. That and more. After this, our bottom of the hour news is next right here on West Michigan Live. It's Wood Radio.
Our 2026 iHeart Podcast Awards are happening live at South by Southwest.
And the winner is...
Watch live next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, free at Veeps.com or the Veeps app.
This is the biggest night in podcasting.
All right, stand by, folks. Just got to make sure they get into the news here. 30 seconds or so. If you're watching a behind-the-scenes live stream. We'll fill you in on what all that is here in just a second. Stand by for news. All right. They're good. What? We got Marco Rubio at the State Department this morning. He's live. Hey, let me bring you that real quick if we can. It's a busy morning so far, folks. This is a big one.
This clerical terroristic regime in Iran, because when it comes to hostage taking, there has been no worse offender in the world than the clerical regime in Tehran. They are the worst offenders in the world of terrorism, and they are the worst offenders in the world of hostage-taking from the very early days. And so they were our first designation. They were founded, unfortunately, on an assault on the brave men and women of our foreign and civil service that were located there in Tehran. And the message is going to be very clear. The United States will not tolerate hostage diplomacy. They're not going to tolerate, we're going to continue to hold that regime accountable, and all other regimes that engage in this accountable for these practices. So, in closing, let me just say, today we honor those who are still waiting. It celebrates those who returned, and it remembers those whose homecoming came sadly and tragically in a different way. But our mission, even as we remember and honor those from the past, our mission is forward-looking. We believe in homecomings, we work for homecomings, and under the President's leadership, we will not stop until every single unjustly detained American is brought home. Thank you.
All right, just a little bit of that live press conference. Let me run it back because I didn't see him come on, and maybe they'll give us more of this if we can run it back to the beginning. Here he is.
The United States is currently engaged in an operation targeting one of the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, the regime in Iran. And first, I think we would all take a moment both to offer our thoughts, our prayers, and our condolences, and to honor the families of those who have fallen, the 7 Americans who have lost their lives in the initial hours of this operation. Incredibly brave Americans, and you saw 6 of them dignified return over the weekend, and we all are all in awe of their service, of their bravery, of their courage, and our hearts and our support extend out to their families in this very difficult moment, and the families of these incredible heroes. And heroic things are happening all the time, some of which will never make it to the headlines, but American men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary mission with extraordinary efficacy and efficiency and impact. The goals of this mission are clear, and it's important to continue to remind the American people of why it is that the greatest military in the history of the world is engaged in this operation. It is to destroy the ability of this regime to launch missiles, both by destroying their missiles and their launchers, destroy the factories that make these missiles, and destroy their navy. I think we are all seeing right now the threat that this clerical regime poses to the region and to the world. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors. They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure, their civilian population. They're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that. And we are well on our way to achieving that objective every single day with overwhelming force, with overwhelming precision. The military, the United States military, the men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary operation. There are not a lot of cameras down there covering what they're doing, as opposed to some of the other images that you may see from some of the cities and capitals nearby. But I want everyone to know your military is getting the job done, and every single day, this regime in Iran has less missiles, has less launchers, their factories work less, and their navy is being eviscerated. And the world is going to be a safer and a better place when this mission is accomplished. And
all right, so there's some of that from earlier. Hang on, got to get back on the air here, folks. Stand by.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio just spoke to folks there at, I believe, the State Department this morning. Here's what he had. Just a brief moment of this.
Terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that. And we are well on our way to achieving that objective every single day with overwhelming force, with overwhelming precision. The military, the United States military, the men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary operation. There are not a lot of cameras down there covering what they're doing, as opposed to some of the other images that you may see from some of the cities and capitals nearby. But I want everyone to know your military is getting the job done, and every single day, This regime in Iran has less missiles, has less launchers, their factories work less, and their navy is being eviscerated. And the world is going to be a safer and a better place when this mission is accomplished. And we...
Just a glimpse of what Secretary of State Marco Rubio had to say just moments ago live from the State Department. We keep an eye on that. We got more, and obviously the updates from this weekend as we continue to follow that deadly storm in the tornado that swept through here parts of Michigan. Normally we talk to Terry DeBoer about weather and things of that nature, but we've got a completely different conversation to have this morning. But Terry, welcome in. Let's start there. What a storm this weekend. I know you have obviously been following that. It's not like you turn that part of your life on when you say I'm gonna go serve the folks and do something else. But what a wild weekend this was, and unfortunately, we've got some loss of life involved with this. Welcome in.
Yeah, Justin. I mean, obviously I pivot right away to thinking I need to grab a crew and get down there to help cover the story. But my thought also turned to the fact that what an incredibly devastating and deadly stretch of weather that we had. It was not just here in southern Lower Michigan, but it was also back into the Central Plains. And we're just at the beginning of severe weather season. And so I would invite and encourage every single person here in West Michigan to review their own severe weather safety plan. Every single home should have a safe spot you can go to. As we saw on Friday, these storms happen and they develop very, very quickly. You need to instinctually know where you would go, and every member of your family needs to know that, where they should go as well. If your kids are home from school by themselves during the afternoon, they need to know where to go as well.
Yeah, it is a good reminder. This was one of the biggest we've seen in a while, and pretty early on in the season.
Yeah, the earliest that we have had this intensity of a tornado actually make it all the way to southern Lower Michigan. So, yeah, this is going to be a very dangerous season. We've seen that with the significant fluctuations that we have had in the weather so far. Of course, we started out with that massive snow event the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. Then we made the transition into what was not a white Christmas, which was to the sadness and dismay of so many people. And then, of course, in January, we went right back into the deep freeze. And we know that the more significant the fluctuations in the weather, the more primed the atmosphere is to produce violent weather like what we saw Saturday. So, yeah, make sure that you have a plan.
You have been keeping folks safe throughout the decades here in West Michigan. And we go back, Terry, I know I told folks earlier, I said, when we talked the other day, I said, Terry, are you crazy? Because I feel it's a fine line to want to do something like this. You got to either be crazy or called. And I hear you mentioning some of that.
Yeah, I do feel called. And it was interesting. I know that you and I have been friends for a very, very long time. And we share so many of the commitments for our family and for our community. And I do feel called. I feel like this is the most important election in our lifetime. And I go all the way back. People wonder about me. I've been in their living rooms. I've been in their classrooms. I've been all across West Michigan for 35 years. And people are wondering, what is the Terry DeBoer story? And who am I when I'm not on television? I grew up in a military family. I was born on an Army base, even though my dad was in the Air Force. I was just a few months old. My dad was stationed in Greenland. I was 4 years old. We were stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, and we've been hearing a lot about the brave men and women at Whiteman Air Force Base at the home of the B-2 bomber. My dad was in Vietnam when I was a kindergartner. Then we were sent to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana, where he was part of the Strategic Air Command. So watching my dad and my mom make the sacrifice really instilled a love of country and a feeling of service on my heart. And so for me, stepping forward to serve in this way is how I can use my life experiences to serve the people of America, and especially the people here in Michigan's 3rd Congressional District.
Times are certainly interesting right now. There's some serious things happening. And I know, if you look at the website, by the way, Terry DeBoer for Congress.com is where you can find, she's just announced she's running to be Michigan's 3rd congressional district representative here, and unseat the Democrat Hillary Scholten right now. Terry's got a list of priorities on the website. And a lot of this sounds to me, people, as you mentioned, like, what's Terry like behind the scenes? A lot of this seems like it's very authentically near and dear to your heart. The peace through strength, the security in the borders, protecting the most vulnerable. And I'll let you go through those, but just tell us, what you're looking at and why it's so important with this run.
Yeah, so my earliest feeling of anything to do with politics came my senior year of high school. I was privileged to be selected to be a part of the honor guard when President Reagan spoke at my high school in my gymnasium. It was October 28th, 1982. I exactly remember the date and where I was. And President Reagan just instilled that message of obligation and public service, and just outlined in such a poignant way the obligation that we all have in this great country we call America to step forward to serve. And at the time, it's so interesting, Justin, we were facing so many of the same issues. We were coming through a period of double-digit inflation. We had double-digit interest rates. We had hostages in Iran. Remember, the Shah was overthrown in 1979, and so we had Americans being held hostage in Iran. We had, of course, the debt was starting to spiral. At the time, the debt was about $1 trillion. It's now almost $40 trillion. And to break that down, interest on the debt is the number 3 item in the line item of the federal budget every year, behind Social Security and Medicare. I mean, we're not even talking defense getting as much money every year as we spend on the interest on the national debt. And so when I talk about the importance of making sure that we get our economic house in order, that is my number 1 priority, Justin. We cannot keep spending. I mean, not only do I have kids, I've got 5 grandkids and 1 more on the way. We need to make sure we are balancing the books of America, and we need to leave this country in better economic shape for the next generation and the generations to follow. Of course, making sure that we're safe at home and abroad, protecting the most vulnerable. I lost my mom this year, and seeing the lack of transparency in how we fund healthcare, that definitely needs to be addressed. We, of course, also have to make sure that we're keeping parents first, making the decisions for their own kids. So, yeah, a very common sense set of ideals that I have, and I'm willing to serve. I do feel like it's a calling.
Yeah, Terry DeBoer with us right now is running for Michigan's 3rd congressional district to unseat the incumbent there, Democrat Hillary Scholten. And the questions that folks are going to have for you, I can imagine you are definitely going to want to talk to folks and shake some hands, kiss some babies. You're no stranger to that anyway. And you've probably seen or met Terry through the years at different places, parades, or even volunteering at different events and for different organizations. Now's a good time. People probably want to have those conversations with you about some more important things. So where and when can they maybe at least keep up to date with you and follow you online to find out where they can do that and have those good conversations?
Yeah, head to my website, terrydeboerforcongress.com. There you will see my background, my story, my priorities for Michigan's 3rd congressional district, and for, quite honestly, the people of America. I also would love to come and speak to your organization. If you have a group who gets together, if you want to put together a group of neighbors and reach out through my website, I would love to come and talk to people in person. I want to hear what's important to you. I want to share and shape the next generation of policies for America, because I know that we live in the greatest country on earth. It was not easy for our founding fathers to get us to this point, and it is the obligation of those of us in this generation to preserve and protect that for generations to come. So I'm happy, I'm willing, I'm feeling called to serve.
Well, we know it's a tough fight, and it will be, as we see what this whole political landscape has turned into recently. And I know folks are are certainly glad to hear it, just like I am, that you're getting in that fight, but we're also praying for you because we know what that fight's like.
I covet everyone's prayers, definitely. When people say, what can I do to help you? I say, the first thing is, please put me on your prayer list, because I know that I'm going to need those prayers just to feel the support of all the people. And also, please take out your calendar and mark down November 3rd and get to the polls and vote. This is our country. I'm stepping forward to run. I need people to get ready to go and vote on November 3rd, and take your friends with you. This is important. This is essential. That's why I'm stepping forward, and I want everyone to be my partner in this mission.
Well, you would be my representative in Congress. So this district, certainly for me, has quite a bit of significance, and I know the rest of us here in West Michigan rooting for you. Terry, thank you so much.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it, and call me anytime. I love to talk. Maybe we can get an opportunity to let people call in and ask questions. I welcome that. I welcome the conversation.
You got it. Absolutely. Looking forward to that. I've got a thought. I'll give you a shout later.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
You got it. God bless. Terry DeBoer, running for Michigan's 3rd congressional district, and as I mentioned, when she made that announcement, I'm thrilled to hear that Terry is running. And I'm telling you, she will represent West Michigan families like she has for many years. She's got a heart for our home like no other, and she's a true leader, and I am proud to call her a friend. So there you have it, folks. The latest. Now, look, I don't give endorsements, but that's as close as you can nearly get to it on my feelings on this one. All right, back with more in minutes. We're going to grab your phone calls so you could jump in the program anytime, 616-774-2424. I've got some good news I got to share with you, too. We'll make sure we get that out to you on the fastest hour in radio. It's just flying right by. Fresh back from the free state of Florida, and the trip was absolutely refreshing, fantastic. The first for our girls. First time they've been in Florida. A lot of firsts, actually. First time they went in an airplane. That was really fun for them. They got to see some gators. We got to walk the beach, dip their toes in the Gulf of America, look for seashells and more. It was just such a good time. And I got to tell you, it was probably more fun than ever because of the comfort and the confidence you get at the Good Feet store. I've been talking about you for them for years now, folks. And whether you're at work or play and you're on your feet all day at your job, or maybe you're taking care of your kids or grandkids, or you just don't want to miss out on the life that you have been missing over the years, the Good Feet store can help get you back on track. All you have to do is walk in today at either location on 28th Street in front of Costco, or in Westnedge, or in Portage and Westnedge, in front of Kohl's there. They will help you every single step. And it's so much easier. They're very friendly. They'll walk you through it, slide on those personalized art support systems, and you can see exactly how you could feel. I mean, it's just amazing. Do it today at the Good Feet store. What are you waiting for?
Tackling the hot button issues with style. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, March 9th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. State lawmakers, a group of Democrats and Republicans, are listening to folks here in Michigan concerned over these huge data centers. The bipartisan group of lawmakers getting involved by putting moratoriums on some of these projects. The Whitmer administration needs to do a deep dive and explain the math. Overpayments from a state program for people living here on Social Security who need help buying food jumped by close to 2,000%. So far, no explanation has been given.
OMG! There goes a house.
And cleanup efforts underway in Three Rivers, Michigan after an unusual EF3 tornado.
I grabbed the dog and ran into the closets and and held on to the doorknob. Everything was shaking, and it sounded like a train was driving through the house.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Hey, it's Brett Bikita here, and if you're looking for a brand...
All right, folks, fastest hour in radio flying right by. Like I said, I do have good news coming up here in just a little bit. Try and get to the after show as well, as we have some things that we just aren't going to have time to get to. You know that. You know that's right. So I gotta get to some of that, and then let me see. Is there anything that I think that's about it. How much time are we going to have when we come back? When we come back, we are probably going to have 5 minutes. So that's probably enough for me. That's all we need, 5 minutes or so. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Is big news, too. I should probably mention this when we come back. It's not the only good news, but there's some more. We'll make sure we cover. All right, about 60 seconds left. Let's check out the markets real quick. Dow down 742 points right now. The open was down 600 after $100 a barrel oil triggers stagflation fears. Lots of red. I will tell you, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be aware, concerned, etc. But I would not live in fear on this. What we're watching is a lot of uncertainty and fear driving the market. And what I think probably more than anything is like a lot of those folks out there in the market trying to make money on your fear. So hang on, folks. Back on the air here in just a second. Markets continued a little shake. And, of course, we said, down over 700 now. And that's the Dow. NASDAQ, lots of red on the screen. S&P all down in the red. And a lot of it is based on CNBC at least saying that oil surging above $100. Gulf states cut back production, touching nearly $120 a barrel at high. And folks, what I want to say, I want to say what I think is really going on is fear is driving this. And I also think that there are some folks that are trying to capitalize on that, on some of that fear. Stay the course. By the way, the thing that I think probably impacts folks more than anything, more than the market, that for sure, is the gas prices right now, which are through the roof even too. A lot of that, I think, is driven by fear. And again, the cost in the barrel, that does, and for the Democrats, because I understand, and folks on the left, you're going to come running about this. Now, remember what you said. You told us the president doesn't have any effect on the gas prices when it dipped under $2 for some places across the country. You go, no. Presidents don't have anything, so we're just going to hold you to that. And anyway, just just a reminder. We'll keep an eye on all of it. I understand it can seem a little, it can make you feel a little uneasy, but I'm just here to tell you, if you're not, I think we need to be wise and we ought to take all of it seriously. Good news, though, out there, just coming out today and yesterday, Donald Trump, president, saying over on Truth, great. FBI, he's responding to the news, the story, FBI secretly seizes election records from Arizona's largest county as voting probe continues with the latest out of that story. And I'll keep you up. In fact, during the after show, maybe we'll try and dig into some of what that's going to look like so that people have a full understanding of what's coming. And yes, it's the same as what happened in Georgia. I know there's going to be a lot, I believe it when I see it kind of thing. And yes, that's a big driver of I mean, it's apprehension. I don't want to call it cynicism completely, but that's kind of what we're dealing with, and I understand it. But hang in there, folks. A little patience. It's a fruit of the spirit. I have to remind my kids all the time. We're learning that.
Is he within eyesight from us?
He's in the last. No,
Here he comes. Here he comes. So let's
Here's the good news you won't believe.
get right back down to the finish line so we can watch Michael.
This is the is it LA marathon? Is that what it's a marathon? What are these crazy people? They get out and run. You know what I mean? I'm not a runner.
That's the line here. Michael Kamau from
American has won this race, and I think this may be. Well, I don't know how. Still, was it the first time? I don't know. Anyway, it's how he won. American Nathan Martin coming out of nowhere to beat the Kenyan in the LA Marathon. It's the closest finish ever.
Just over 2 hours and 11 minutes on the clock.
For the folks that are watching on the behind the scenes live stream, and then I'll put this clip up on the stack today so that you can check it out a little bit later on at JustinBarkley.com.
Whoa.
And then you see the American come up behind him in the blue or / purple, whatever this is, right behind him, and watch how fast this happens.
Nathan Martin.
Oh my gosh.
The American.
Wow.
It is a photo finish for crowning of the 2026 A6 LA Marathon.
He breaks the tape, and the Kenyan collapses. The guy, I don't even know if he knows there's somebody behind him.
Champion.
I'm not sure.
Nowhere, because we can only see just a little bit beyond.
We have to see that playback to see exactly what happened there. Is he within
That is one of the most incredible finishes. I mean, I'm not a big runner. I certainly don't watch a lot of marathons, but he finished that sucker in 2 hours, 11 minutes, 16.5 seconds. And he said, I could see the leader. And with 800 meters to go, I was thinking, I'm catching him. The American wins the LA Marathon. And I thought, fantastic news. Great way to wrap it up. More coming up in the after show, the show after the show. Don't go anywhere. We bring it all to you. Facebook, Twitter X, Rumble, Getter Locals, JustinBarkley.com, the iHeartRadio app, where you can listen live or archived all the time. Take us with you wherever you go. In the meantime, the Glenn Beck program next. Make it a great one, folks. God bless.
Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. Is your home in need of...
All right. Sean was a runner. You ran cross country and long distance. Holy cow, man. That is something I had never in a million years. To me, it sounds like torture. I know. All right, hang on, folks. We're going to click a couple of buttons here and get us fired up on the after show. Stand by. Brian, why do you always leave at the end of the regular show? You just don't want to stick around for the after show? Or do you stick around but give us your... Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barkley. Welcome in to the after show, the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. It's never a dull moment. Never enough time to get to it all. We will do our best to make sure that you hear the story, some of them which you won't hear anywhere else, the context, at least. I don't think the nightly news, Lester and the Crucian, it probably won't cover. They won't give you the truth about some of this stuff. Anyway, we will. We'll get into it all today, and we appreciate you being here with us. In fact, thanks to the folks at healthwithjustin.com. Good podcast over the weekend, dropping with our good friend Maha Missy. The latest blood test that could tell you how long you're going to live. when you're going to die. She breaks down the truth on it. And more news about the food you're eating and how the folks, RFK and the rest of them, are trying to change with the Maha movement, some of that to get America back on track, make America healthy again. The Maha update over the weekend. Make sure you check that out. My Maha update. I continue the scale moving in the right direction, but I feel better every day. Clothes are fitting better. That's all a good side effect. But, you know, there's so many other great things. Like people will tell you their inflammation's down, no more aches and pains. They'll tell you they're off medication when they go through this program. It's absolutely incredible. You don't eat any sort of fake prepackaged food. It's all real stuff. There's no crazy hoops or exercise that you got to go through. No, just great results. And maybe the simplest thing I've done, I got to tell you, I love the way I feel. I know my wife does too. We're getting healthy from the inside out, and you can too. The Maha movement starts with you. It starts with me. Make America healthy again, one person at a time. You and me. Yep, we can jump in it together. Find out more at healthwithjustin.com. You can watch the before and afters, the video where Missy and I talk, and, of course, see all the great results from folks like Trucker Randy and Steve Gruber, the rest of them who have jumped in the fight as well. It's healthwithjustin.com. Go online today, healthwithjustin.com, or call 269-964-4044. 269-964-4044. All right. Big show today. As I mentioned, we have a couple of things that I have not been able to get to, and I think they are big stories, so we'll try and make sure that we nail those coming up today. We're going to make sure that we find out what's happening, what's really going on. And there's, like I said, there's a couple of pieces of good news as well that I think needs to be explained. Now, I told you about the IEDs that they attempted to fire off at the protest there in New York City in front of the mayor's mansion, right? But we didn't get a chance to talk about what happened in Kansas City at the airport, the Southwest flight, and more. And some of these stories aren't getting the attention. It's kind of odd to me to watch to see that they're not getting the cover. I think there's a reason for that.
2 of the devices were ignited and thrown yesterday during dueling protests near Gracie Mansion, where New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani lives. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But we've learned from high-level sources that one of the devices contained a powerful explosive known as TATP. Fox News contributor Paul Morrow says this is an explosive that has been used in other high-profile, deadly terrorist attacks across the globe.
New York City got extremely lucky yesterday. TATP is enormously volatile. It is not very stable. It's extremely powerful. And it is the footprint, and if you go by past events, of serious bombing attacks. The London 7/7 attacks, Richard Reed's attempt on a plane.
Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi are now reportedly in federal custody being interviewed by the FBI in connection to the devices. Our Bill Malusian has learned that Balat's parents are naturalized U.S. citizens from Turkey and Qayyumi's parents are naturalized citizens from Afghanistan. One of the suspects was captured saying this as he was taken into custody.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Yes, somebody.
So the confirmed IED, the one that we know has been tested and confirmed to be an explosive, well, that was thrown yesterday afternoon outside Gracie Mansion during a clash of protest. The initial protest was called Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City, Stop New York City Public Muslim Prayer, and was organized by individuals associated with pardoned January 6 participant Jake Lang and drew about 20 participants. The counter protest was titled Run the Nazis out of New York City, Stand Against Hate, and that took place nearby with roughly 125 participants at its...
It's mostly peaceful, though. Just mostly peaceful IEDs being tossed on the ground. That's all it is. Mostly peaceful. Okay, so what happened in Kansas City? Now, I will tell you, this is probably the least... I don't know. It's hard to tell on some of this stuff, but I'll say this is probably the least likely Well, the least serious, but they were doing their due diligence in this matter. So they shut the airport down and they evacuated it. They saw some suspicious packages, apparently. They've given the all clear since yesterday, so everything's good now. But there's some dispatch audio that's come out that shows what was found there and why it was such a big deal.
All units, we got a bomb threat called in for 3 explosives, 2 possibly in Beacon Force, 1 in the parking garage. They gave us an hour detonation time. Now it's saying 45 minutes. If this did come in as a live voice, calls in again 3 explosives, 2 Beacon Concourse, 1 in the parking garage with 45 minutes detonation time.
Airport Houston, copies.
Only information we got was 3 explosives with a 45-minute detonation time. No further information as far as actual location, just the concourse and the parking garage. There is 1 unattended bag at the crossing front. It has been there for about 20 minutes. Originally, I was calling.
All right, so let me give you just part of what's been reported here. Obviously, this is Nick Sorter's ex-post on this. Dispatch audio reveals a man called and said 3 bombs were placed in various areas around the airport. They said they had an hour to detonation time. Ground stop was put in place. Terminal was cleared of passengers. A full sweep done. The FBI now investigating. Now, here's the thing. Whether this was somebody who, like a kid, just trying to do, well, you know how they do the swatting and things like that. Maybe this was one of those scenarios. Or maybe it's more serious. Maybe it's a dry run for something. That could very well be a possibility too. I will tell you, I'm, watching some of this. It's hard to know. But I can tell you this, they have been planning. They have been throughout plotting, I'm sure, throughout the years, what they might do if this day comes. In fact, they were planning on doing this no matter whether we went to Iran and did what we did. They were planning this the entire time. So I'm telling you that I don't, nothing would surprise me. Nothing at all would surprise me these days. And, we ought to be more vigilant. We all ought to be more vigilant about what is, and this is a massive piece of it. Have you seen the footage from the guy, by the way? This guy's like he's playing. It almost looks like he's playing football in the streets of New York City. Watch this guy running with the IED. He got caught with it. You can see the thing smoking in his hand. He's got it right there. You can see the smoke coming out of it. He throws it down on the ground, jumps the fence. Goes to that tells police. Maybe he's expecting it to go off. I don't know. They ought to throw the book at these kids. I know they're kids, but they know what they're doing. Watch it again. There he's got it in his hand. You can see the smoke coming off of it. He kind of lobs it on the ground there and hits the fence. I don't know. They think they're in a video game or something. Yeah, no, Bunny, that's funny. She said the news will claim it's far right. Well, that's funny because that's kind of the way Mamdani's statement was in the beginning, and that's kind of the way I think some of the headlines led you to believe. It's like, hey, a thing happened. We don't really know much about it. And that's not true. None of that is true. They leave it sort of broad, vague, open-ended on purpose so that you sort of fill in the blanks however you want this thing to look and go down. By the way, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. And these people, I'm going to tell you, the most CNN I've watched in a long time, a little bit last night, just to see like how they were covering things. And to me, what they're doing is it's traitorous, particularly on Iran. They are, and it's so obvious. So the story that's coming out right now, and the only reason is because some reporter asked about it. We've known about this for over a week, but we haven't really dialed into it because we don't have a lot of facts on it. I see the left using it quite a bit in their commentary on like the chat or in memes or things that we post online. But what I'm telling you is that we haven't had a lot of information on this. They're making claims without any actual support. And who knows what actually ends up coming out of this fog of war. It's hard to tell really up front what the answer is going to be. But now the president has come out and said I think it was with Hegseth. He was asked by a reporter whether or not there was a school in Iran. And by the way, I asked someone about this over the weekend. She's Persian. She from there, grew up there. Her mom is involved in resistance on this whole thing. And I'm not going to give you too many more pieces of information about it because I want to protect her identity and her mom especially. But I had a conversation with somebody I know about this over the weekend, and I said, this whole thing with the school, what do you think happened? And I'll tell you what she said after you watch what the president said on Air Force.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that? Well, certainly.
So now president says, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran. So the reporter or another one, either way, I don't know who it was. Somebody asked this question. Doubled down and said, was that true, Mr. Hegseth? Asking the Secretary of War this for his comment on it. They're investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
The only side that targets civilians is Iran. And this is the same playbook, by the way, the same thing we had with Hamas and Gaza. Same sort of thing. Two things possible. Actually, three. One, it was Iran. They did it. They either did it because it was an accident or they did it because they wanted to blame us for it. That's also part of what happens too. Number two, in case of Gaza and Hamas, what they would do is they would put their military operations underneath schools and hospitals, etc., so that when these things were bombed, either underneath or near, right, it would look like the Americans are just coming after the kids and the citizens. So this is straight out of the playbook. And there's a third option. And that third option is, yeah, the Americans did this and they didn't do it on purpose. It was one of these scenarios where, unfortunately, fog of war. Or the Americans didn't do it and it was Israel. Either way, I don't know. The point is nobody knows. Maybe they have a clue. Maybe they have a little bit more information on this. And maybe they know a little bit further, but we don't know in the realm of the news and public information. Maybe they know behind the scenes. Or maybe Trump knows. I don't know. But from what we've been told, Gavin, they don't know. And why is this important? Hang on.
We think it was done by Iran. They're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
So the reason this is important is because, again, CNN last night is running the same thing, running the story over again. It's a week old. They never got to fly last week. So they're trying to throw some more juice into it, add some more life into it. So what they've been doing now is they bring this back up. They bring this story back up, and then they ask this question, and then now we move forward. Terry said, question, what happened to the cartel war in Mexico? Did we win that? Yeah, what about Venezuela? Yeah, interesting times, isn't it? Yeah, but you know the real question, Terry, and I know, you're curious, I am too, but the real question is what happened to Nancy Guthrie? Are we ever going to get those answers on Nancy Guthrie? I mean, I thought we were very serious. Where's Nancy? So, again, this is that story. CNN presenting it, as they say, without evidence. The president makes this claim. Well, why do we think maybe, let's just go back. Why do we think maybe, why are they thinking maybe this was the United States? Why? Because Iran said so. So you listen to CNN or any of these other news networks, what they're saying is that Iran says that the Americans bombed the school. Iran says, folks. When they present it, they don't present it as Iran says without evidence or Iran claims without proof. No, they said that the president said, no, that's not us. That was Iran. And they say he says it without evidence or without proof. Make it make sense. None of this. It's all so blatant and obvious. And I watched this last night and I had to turn the TV off before I threw the remote. Because I almost did. I almost threw the remote last night. I was just so like, come on, it can't get any more obvious than this. So let's go back to the terrorist attacks the attempted attacks anyway over the weekend. We also had the bomb threat. I think it was Southwest that the bomb threat took place on. And did you see the videos? Again, I didn't see a lot of coverage of this, and I think there's a reason for it. But some guy yells, "Death to America, death to Trump. I'm going to bomb the plane." Now, maybe he's mad he didn't get his bag of peanuts. I don't know. It's been a minute since I've flown Southwest. I don't know if they still do that or not. Most of them got away from the peanuts because of the peanut allergies. But the flight was diverted to Atlanta by the way, I think there's video of the people with the hands up on the plane. I think that's a whole nother incident from what I understand. I could be wrong, but I think that one is a whole nother incident altogether. All right, watch what took place this weekend.
The flag! Going to bomb the flag! Death to America! Death to Trump! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
Of course, the guy's taken down fairly quickly.
Allah Akbar!
Oh my God. Stop. Sit down. Don't move.
I don't know if this is Southwest, though, because I don't think this... I can't tell. It's been a long since I've been on it, but this thing on the headrest and... This is just... It just looks like a whole nother situation. I don't know if I could tell what exactly this video is, but I did see this. All right. The passengers with their hands up, SWAT boarded. I guess this happened after other passengers reported a man praying in a foreign language and having prayer timer on his phone. FBI found no credible threat. This guy was released. The guy on the left, this other guy, I'm going to bomb the plane, the Allah Akbar guy. This one's flown around. This is not recent. This is from like a year ago, I think. And okay, this makes sense too, because it was on an EasyJet flight from London to Glasgow. So that looked off to me. But here's the video of the people. This did happen this weekend with their hands up. This is a thing about the internet. You never know what you're looking at. Not even this. It's not, maybe not AI, but it's just not like recent. This is Southwest. Well, I will tell you this. This is the thing, and somebody just mentioned in the chat here. Jessica said the hands up one from Nashville is so bizarre that airline is probably going to get sued. Children were terrified. Well, we just flew with our kids for the first time, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, if something like that now would never. The flight we took was straight from Grand Rapids to Florida. I doubt that anybody would target that flight. But like if something were to have happened on their first flight and with the little kids, I can't imagine. As a parent, I was watching this thinking to myself, what do you tell your kids? How do you explain to them that they have to? I had a hard enough time telling the kids they had to stay in a seat and they couldn't get up and run around and go to the bathroom. You know, what do you do? How do you tell your kid this is very serious? Anyway, that's real. The other guy, Allah Akbar, that was a guy from 2025. I think it was in July. But like I said, there's multiple of these events, and there's almost too many to like keep up with right now. There's almost too many to keep up with right now, and I think that's kind of part of the problem here. Okay, I do have some good news. I have some news that makes me really wonder about some of these folks too, and I don't know how much of it I want to cover. I don't know where some of you folks are on this stuff, but I got to tell you, some of the things I'm watching, I think people's brains are breaking. I think people are being fried, and I don't know. I can't tell you why some of this has happened, other than I'm going to tell you, like, we live in some very strange times. Very, very strange times. So what I'm about to play, trigger warning. They usually tell you that when there's something like this going to be discussed, but what Tucker Carlson said in his podcast the other day, I have not been a critic of Tucker or any of these people lately. I mean, certainly have my own thoughts on some of this stuff. I tend to think that these guys mean well, but I don't know. Maybe that's just because I'm looking at it through my own eyes, but some of the stuff I'm really having a hard time with. And I there's something from this weekend. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to give it any more. I just think some of this stuff we just don't want to give oxygen to. But this I think I have to kind of call out here. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, this is what he says about what Trump meant when he said that he wants unconditional surrender from Iran. And I just think it's absurd. And I know, I like the guy. I don't know him personally, but like, I've always felt like he meant well. I know him to be a pretty decent guy from what I know and the limited interactions that I've had with him. But like, I met him once, you know, maybe like a 30-second or a minute interaction with him. But I will tell you that he's always seemed like a stand-up guy. He's always seemed like, but this stuff lately is just getting really weird for me. And I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. Now, I don't know. You may think I'm crazy, but listen to this. I don't think this doesn't square for me.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter.
Now, I don't know. Are we watching like an edited clip here? Because that's another possibility. Was the internet just, on some of the stuff I've seen lately, attacking even people like Tucker? Like, I think it's absurd, some of this stuff. Like if you have a question about, and some of the people that were included in the things that I've said, are just crazy. You know, look, a lot of this is getting out of hand. And folks, you got to realize, we got to stay united. It's not just our policies or whether or not we agree with each other on everything or whether or not, you know, I mean, folks, it's us against the insanity of the left. Unconditional surrender and the president saying that Iran needs to unconditionally surrender does not mean we're going to go in there, put troops on the ground and rape the women and children. That's horrific to even suggest out of Americans.
Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything. And so that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons in order to do that. And let's not lie to ourselves. We're moving toward that.
Again, if this clip is real, I mean, I've had every indication that it is, and so much, but so we, on one hand, we're saying that Trump wants troops on the ground that are going to rape the women and children of Iran. And then secondly, that we're going to nuke them. I mean, this is it's insane. And I don't know. Maybe he's not saying this personally. Maybe it's coming like it's completely being taken out of context. I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Let's ask Rock. Is this real? Let's just ask. I haven't done this with the AI yet, and sometimes it did. Well, it says the Tucker Carlson clip is real, source from the show discussing Iran policies risks. Hang on. We'll see what it fully tells us. I really have a hard time watching stuff like this because I like him, and I like some of these other folks that gone off, feels like anyway, lost the plot. I don't know. Maybe they see things that we don't. Maybe they see things that we need to. I don't. Some of it though, I'm like you. I watch this and I think, I don't know. There's a lot more going on here than I think we can understand. Okay, and I got to talk about Candace. I don't want to talk about Candace. Well, I'm going to talk about her because if this is not real, then I'm going to have to eat some crow. But because again, it's hard knowing on the internet. I didn't want to talk about this because I thought, why feed this? But hang on, let me just look and see if I can tell. Now they're all like retweeting each other. Like I don't know, either they're all in an echo chamber with each other or what. I don't know. It's really weird. And again, maybe they see things that we don't. Maybe there's like a whole thing. I don't know. Okay, here's the tweet. Zionists are having a meltdown about what I said yesterday, so let me reiterate. There's actually two of them. Well, I'll show you what they look like. And I don't know what this is in reference to, but I'll just tell you these. I don't know what she said. I've just had to turn it off. Not because I wasn't listening to her. And then this is nothing against her or anyone else. I just don't normally listen to a lot of. I don't have time. Somebody sent me a message yesterday and said, "Hey, I think you got it wrong. Listen to this, and if you want to talk." And it's like a 15-minute clip, folks. I love you, but you can't send me a message and go, "Hey, just take 2 hours of your life and listen to this. It'll tell you everything you need to know." Like that's not. I don't have the bandwidth for that. Give me some bullet points. Give me some cliff notes. Walk me through what we're doing here. I can't go down a rabbit hole with you for 2 hours. But here she is. It says Zionists having a meltdown about what I said yesterday. So let me reiterate. Do not sign up for or continue to fight for the U.S. military. The war is on behalf of satanic pedophiles. Find the legal means to exit the military. Do not fight for child rapists. Come home. Now she's telling people in this one, and then the other one says, "Do not finally." It's the same thing. It's just worded differently. At what point, if you're listening to this, at what point do you say, "I don't know that that's reasonable anymore"? Telling people not to fight in the military. I've told you, I didn't even want to bring this up, but I felt like since I'm talking about the other one, I'll talk about this one too. I don't have opinions that I feel like I don't like this person or I just can't even pay attention to what people say about some of this stuff anymore. But I know people have been sucked into this. And to me, that feels very concerning. If you've been sucked into something and it has overtaken you and reality, and I'm getting messages where it's like, I don't see it. Oh, I'm the one. Everyone else is wrong. Only you can see it. You and the person who is making money off of sucking you into this thing. By the way, that's how we all get paid. We are selling attention. Now, I believe maybe I'm naive by this. It's just my feeling that's how I got into this, or why I started doing, was to give you some of the stories, the truth, the context that people weren't giving. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to feed our family, we have to pay the bills, and so you get compensated, you get paid for the attention, the eyeballs, the ears, whatever that you bring. And I'm not on a level like these other guys. Nobody's convinced me to, sell out yet. They haven't pulled the dump truck full of money up to my front yard yet and dropped me a load. But listen, maybe when that day comes, I'll have a tough decision to make. I don't think it's going to be as tough because I want to be able to look myself in the mirror. Yeah, but Debbie, this is the problem. See, Debbie says pedophiles are real and we turn our heads. Yes, but that does not excuse this tweet. We know pedophiles are real. But you're saying we're fighting this war on behalf of satanic pedophiles? Please, guys, how do we make this even make sense? I've shown you and talked about a number of reasons why we are doing what we're doing in Iran. But to say it's all about satanic pedophiles, no. That has been that wording has been uniquely selected to trigger you and pull the audience in further. This person knows the audience. They know what they need to say to bring them in a little bit further, a little bit closer. And it's to me, it's wild. So telling members of the military not to fight and to somehow figure out a way to get out. And like, if there are people, this is just as bad as like, Islam or remember, we had Slotkin and the other senator. What's the guy's name? Was it Kelly from Arizona? Telling members of the media, members of the military to just not obey President Trump's orders. I mean, Jessica, regardless, how far do you come from, hey, I think something weird happened with Charlie Kirk too, don't obey orders? Please understand, I love you guys. Don't allow yourself to be pulled around like this. I mean, I agree. I look at what happened to Charlie and go, yes, some stuff is off there. There's some things that are off there. Something doesn't add up. I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll never know. But I want to tell you what I think, why this is happening, what plays into it. There is a spirit. Some of it comes from pride. Some of it might be Jezebel. I'm not going to get into all that because I don't know exactly. But what I do know is there is something that really plays on the ideas of trying to understand and know everything. By the way, you can't. You can't. You cannot know everything. And the fact that you may want to know or have that desire to know, I understand some of that's sort of human, but I think also some of it comes from the very beginning of time. Think about what happened with Adam and Eve, and they took that fruit from the tree, knowledge of good and evil. And listen, folks, that's where we are now. It's the very same, the original sin. It's the very same thing. And people want to know. It's the same reason they get into this divination and all of this other stuff. I want my lottery numbers. I want my tarot. I want a horoscope and all these things that I just can't know. Why? It comes from I want to tell you what I believe it comes from. An ultimate place of just not having I'm not going to say the ability, but maybe the refusal to Trust God. There are so many things that I deal with on a daily basis, and I wrote about this in that book, Good News, Hope, and Encouragement for Trying Times. The reason I wrote that book, and it's like a pamphlet. It's very small. It's if you want one, I mean, heck, let me know. I'll send you one. But the point is this. The reason I wrote the book is to let you know. Yes, you need to stay in touch with the news. We need to know what's going on. I'm not telling you to stick your head in the sand. But at the same time, and this is the important part, folks, the good news is that God is still on the throne. That's all that matters. Yes, the headlines are important. Yes, we need to keep up with everything. But the good news is God is still on the throne. You got to trust. At some point, you have to trust. People can't do that. They can't even trust, hey, the same people that elected and even like stumped for Trump to get him elected are throwing this guy. Now, why? Because again, because of social media and everything else, we've gotten mixed up in all of this. We've got this whole thing discombobulated, thinking to ourselves, we have to control everything. We have to know everything. We have to be in on every decision. We have to agree with everything. Otherwise, people are satanic pedophiles. Do you see how far off this is? No. You trust, you work your butt off to get the person elected. They either do or don't live up to what you ask them to do. And if they don't, that's on them. It's not on you. That's between them and God. Our role is to trust God that things are working out and that he's using these people. The other thing we can do is pray for them. And by the way, you should have been doing that the whole time. Obama, Biden, every one of them, Bush, Clinton, you ought to be praying for these people, especially the ones you don't agree with, that they would see the light. I'm going to tell you, I watch this, and the only reason I bring it up is not to get into this back and forth. I know I'll lose people over this. I know there are going to be people to say, he's sold out. He doesn't get it. I understand. But I either tell you the truth, and I know that's not always easy to hear. I try to do it with truth and grace. I try to give you all of these stories of truth. By the way, that's how Christ does it. That's it. It's the truth because I don't want very bad things to happen to you. It's grace because I want to do it in a way that hopefully you'll receive it and is loving. But if I do not give you the truth and I'm just full of grace, right? That leads to death and destruction. And if I hit you over the head with truth, and there's no grace involved, you'll never be receptive. So I love you. That's why I'm telling you this. We all ought to do an account. It doesn't matter who we are or where we are. Even I do this on a daily basis. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? Am I being led astray by any of this? It's discernment. And finally, where does this come from? Ultimately, it comes from asking the Lord. And truthfully, like wholeheartedly saying, God, show me. Show me. Now, he's not going to always show you everything, and he can't, right? A lamp for your feet and a light for your path. You know, sometimes you're not going to have the full light for the full pathway. See, Bunny, that's what I'm talking about. It's stuff like that. And it's so lazy. It's so intellectually dishonest. When people disagree with people now, they just say, and I know you're just joking, but like when people disagree with people on things now and say, hey, you look like you're getting your $7,000. Let me tell you something, folks. $7,000 is such a drop in the bucket for what some of these big guys are making. They don't, $7,000 isn't enough to do. That's not gonna, they would have to be compromised in a way that somebody had dirt on them or all in from like behind the scenes, kind of a, from the get-go. Or they'd have to get a lot more than $7,000. Just trust me on that. Now, $7,000 can do a lot, but it does a lot until it don't. Trust me on that. It's not, you take a little bit of money and you are on the hook for so much more. That $7,000 costs a lot more than what you get. And I don't even know if that's even real. But what I'm saying is you got to be careful. You got to be careful because all of those actions have consequences. And I think some people realize that, some people don't. Jason said, I was mad about Iran until I saw Trump's brilliant move. China could only get oil from two countries, Iran and Venezuela. Now their oil source is of the USA. We control China's oil. That's what I'm talking about. So there's so many missing pieces and parts of this, Jason. And you know what? It takes a big man to actually say that. I think that's really cool that you would admit that. And look, I'm probably wrong a lot about various different things. I can't remember the last thing because it happens so often. But, you know, what I'm saying is it takes a lot. And I don't remember the last time I've heard any of these people come out and go, oh, we were wrong about this, or oh, we were wrong about that. Anyway, making the point about Iran is like there's a whole reason, so that's why to say, like, specifically when you break it down into like this conversation about military needs to go home. They need to disobey orders because the only reason we're doing this is we're fighting for satanic pedophiles. Guys, that just sounds like somebody who's sick, and I'm not making fun because I'm not off the meds and all the stuff that people could say or say. I don't mean that. What I'm saying is I think there's somebody really hurting, and I don't know the full specifics, and I'm sure maybe we'll never know. But pray for these people. Pray for these people. In the meantime, we'll pray for our leaders as well as we go through all of this, because it's important. All of this is important. Okay, over the weekend, one last thing, and then I'm going to drop it here. But this is kind of hilarious. Bill Maher had Adam Schiff, pencil neck Adam Schiff on, and this is what played out. He kind of set him up for kind of a hilarious moment. Now, again, I'm going to warn you, language on this. It's Bill Maher. I don't remember if there was any, but take a listen.
This statement from the administration: the president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization.
Wait. No. You don't get to do that. Wait a minute. No. This is the point. And Mark, you got to love him. I mean, he does stick. He's not awful and wavering. He said, look, I this is how I felt at this time. By the way, I still do. And Schiff is completely, is revealed to be who he is, this guy who just blows wherever the wind takes him.
Many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though Assad was gassing his own people, because he thought he might lose the vote in Congress. But I respect
because he was think of the word I can actually. The word I want to say is not the word I think I can say. But either way, Obama didn't really want to go after Syria. He likes those guys. He likes all of this. It's a completely different scenario here. Trump's a real deal. He means what he says, and he says what he does.
The fact that was important to him, and the fact that he did not have the support of Congress meant that we weren't going to go forward. We are unquestionably at war now. The founders made an extraordinary decision at the time, which was not to give that power to the president, but to give it to the Congress, because they worried, I think, as Hamilton said, that a president would grow too fond of making war. After Venezuela, after the earlier Iran conflict, after bombing Nigeria and Iraq and Syria, he's grown too fond of this. And
no, he's done a very good job at all of it. In fact, you're just not happy about it. You're not happy. And this is peace through strength. This is exactly what we have to do. And by the way, you only do a couple of these and then you'll not have to do any more. The world will understand you. Get in line. Now, I don't know what. And by the way, Schiff can't tell you, none of them can. But Congress can't even get it together to vote on obvious things. You expect them to get together and vote on war and war plans? And Trump's got to run that plan, that secret plan past him and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC. You tell me. You think any of that makes any sense? No. Give me a break, folks. Anyway, lots still yet to get to. Gas prices, we'll try and break that down tomorrow. Minnesota, they're so out of whack. Must be all that Somalian money. They're actually, check this out. You can't make it up. Requesting studies on the benefits of shoplifting. We'll have that story for you tomorrow, too. Don't shoplift. In fact, shop and support the show at mypillow.com/Justin. Use promo code Justin today at mypillow.com/Justin and help support Mike Lindell in the fight to become Minnesota's next governor. God bless, folks. Make it a great day.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.